Biur Mishnah Zayin. Okay, before we do Mishnah Zayin, just an understanding of, I think it's the next 4 or 5 Mishnahs. In those times, we are very afraid of chametz. Now, the reason why people are afraid of chametz, in our generation, is because nobody touches chametz. Nobody mixes wheat and water ever, because you're afraid it's chametz. You have to remember, in the old times, every day they made bread. During Pesach, they took wheat, they took water, and they made bread, and they baked the bread. They just were sure to make it within 18 minutes, you know.
And they had to have kemach.
Yeah, and they did it with wheat. They mixed water and wheat all the time, so it was something that was done according to... As long as you cooked it in 18 minutes, it's not chametz. Yeah, you have to...
You can leave a kemach in your house.
They have wheat. Yeah? What's your matzah?
No, now, for Pesach, you can leave it's considered
as you can't leave today's kemach, because today kemach was washed. But if you go to the field, if you leave matzah, if it wasn't washed, let's say if you didn't wash the wheat, yeah, it's okay. What's your matzah?
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah, the matzah is the wheat. Yeah. So today we're so scared because we don't do nothing at home. But at that time, everything was done all the time. They used wheat and there all the time. And also there's a different problem. In the old time, they used to have clay ovens. And in clay ovens, it becomes very, very hot. And you can bake the bread in like 5-6 minutes, it's cooked. Today, you put the bread in the oven, it takes 30 minutes maybe to cook. So that's another big difference between the matzahs they ate then and the matzah now. So it's a whole different thing. So just have the mindset that they use wheat and water all the time. Okay? So that's what we're going through. Mishnah, so this is Biur Mishnah Zana. Biur Mishnah Zayin, the explanation for Mishnah Zayin. Mishnatenu baa lelamed, our Mishnah comes to teach, בדברים שאסור לעשותם בפסח משום סרח איסור חמץ. These are things one is not allowed to do in Pesach because of סרח איסור חמץ. It smells like chametz, but it's not really chametz. Now, yeah, for us it will look like real chametz. But that's why I mentioned what I mentioned. For us, because we're not used to do stuff like this, so you can do this. In those times, you were allowed to do this, so don't worry about it. But it's still, these things they didn't do. Let's see what. אין שורים בפסח את המורסן. What's mursan? You do not put in Pesach the mursan. Mursan is the stuff you take out of the wheat. The wheat kernel, when you separate the wheat, it's the shell where the wheat kernel is. The wheat kernel comes in a shell. Yeah, so you separate it before you grind it. So everything was used at the time. So what would you do with this one? This you would feed to the animals. The wheat you will take for yourself, and the other one you feed to the animals. But even the chickens don't want to eat it because it's too rough. So what you put it in water to make it soft. So it says don't do that because there's some wheat in it. Sometimes there's some wheat remainder. בפסח את המורסן פסולת הקמח. This is the shells of the kemach, לתרנגולים. Don't put it in water for the hens, for the chickens. כדי לתנו לפני התרנגולים לאכילה, in order to put it before the chickens for eating. Why? לפי שהמורסן הנשרה במים בא לידי חימוץ. Because even that can come to become chametz. But you know what you can do? You can cook it for them. You can make a dish. You can cook it for them in hot water. For the chickens, yeah, and it says even if you cook it for more than for a long time. Why? Because cooking it, the process of the cooking is just like kneading the dough. As long as it's cooking, it's this press. The chimutz, it doesn't start to rise as long as it's boiling. And once it stops boiling, the dish is ready already. It's like solid.
Will it start to rise after?
No, that's it. It's like bread. It's like the bread. It's like, that's it. The bread. Once the bread is made, and it's less than a zeu, That's it, it's done. אבל חולטין את המורסן במים רותחין, but you do put it in boiling water, שמרוב החום הוא מתבשל ואינו בא לידי חמוץ. Because it becomes like a cooked bread, and that's it. The cooked bread doesn't rise anymore. This doesn't rise anymore. So you can do that. Another thing that you're not allowed to do, even though it's not, it's called srach chametz, you know this. It's not real chametz. Haisha, also the woman, lo tishre et hamursan shetolich beyada lamerchatz. Also, the women used to take this wheat kernels, the wheat garbage, you know, all the stalks and the kernels, and used to put it in like a bag, like a reshet, and used to wash themselves like a loofah. They used to use it as a loofah to wash their bodies. So it says a woman should not use it, put the smursan in her hand when she's going to get washed. לשפשף בה את בשרה, they used to rub their skin in it, מפני שהמורסן מחמיץ בשרייה. Again, for the same reason. It's going to rise and you're going to get benefit out of it. She can cook it and then use it. But then it doesn't do its job. אבל שפה היא בבשרה יבש. But she can use it when it's dry. Before she goes into the water, she can use it dry on herself, not after she's wet. The dry, and then walk in. So it takes off the dead skin, for example. You can use it. משפשפת את הבשרה במורסן יבש. She's allowed to do it.
I don't understand, Rabbi. What if there was a wheat there, and the wheat fell down on the ground?
Aryeh, that's why I said they used wheat every day, all the time. It is chametz, but they cooked it all the time.
It is chametz?
Of course. What do you mean? If it's chametz, it's chametz. If it rose, it rose.
No, I thought they have it in the floor.
I told you today, for us today, it looks like this. In those times, that's what they used all the time. They had the bakery in their house. Wheat, matzah, all the time. They just made sure it was clean as much as they can. It wasn't like today. Today, everything is end of the world. In those times, that's why I mentioned in the beginning. Yeah, that's why I mentioned in the beginning. They used to work with it all the time, all the day. It wasn't so strange. אבל שרה היא בבשרה יבש, משפשפת היא את בשרה במורסן יבש. אף על פי שבשרה לך, even though she's wet. ויש מפרשים שמדובר כאן בלחות שבאה מחמת זיעה. It says, no, we're not talking about really wet from the water. We're talking, she might be sweating a little bit. That's what we're talking about. אבל אם בשרה לך מחמת מים שנשטפה בהם, but if her flesh, her skin is wet from water that she just bathed in it, אסור לה לשפשף אותה אף במורסן יבש. Then she was not be allowed to. Two opinions. Again, another thing, לא ילעוס אדם חיטים, a person should not chew wheat, ויניח על מכתו בפסח, and will put as an ointment on his wound during Pesach. Why? Again, easy. מפני שהן מחמיצות. Because this is called, it's going to become chametz. על ידי הרוק שבפיו, through the spit that's in his mouth. Just look at the thing. All these things are not called really chametz. It's called srach chametz, which means it doesn't smell good. Yeah, it doesn't smell good. It means we know it's not really chametz over here in all these cases. Yeah, but don't do it because it doesn't. It's not befitting for Pesach. Come on, you don't do these things. That's the idea. Okay.